feel the difference between needing to do something and somebody else expecting me to do it. And now hear these words. We said them earlier. They're our favorite words. It's the core, it's the key to so many wonderful things that are unfolding for all of you. Satisfaction comes from only one place, and that's having a desire and moving in the direction of it. So this answer has many deep tentacles. You're going to feel it all around the room. For example, when a parent decides what a child needs to do you often notice how reluctant the child is to do it? And you know why? There's no satisfaction in doing what somebody else wants you to do. Satisfaction is only from moving in the direction of what you want to do. And that's the first thing that so many people do that sort of makes people lose their sense of who they are, is that they demand things of them. They tell them that they need to do this and they need to do that. You need to push through and you need to do it. And remember what our premise for all of this is? The amazing pleasure of non-resistant thought. The pleasure of non-resistant thought. So when you think about why you want something, wanting it and why, now as you move toward it, it's pleasing to you. It feels good to you. Now we're going to get back around to that in a moment. But first we want to say to you that this is usually, and it is the case here, the reason that someone feels uncomfortable, even fearful about making a presentation in front of others. And it's because you don't trust them to be connected to their inner being. And the reason you don't trust them to be connected to their inner being is because they usually aren't. So they're petty, they're critical, they don't like themselves very much often, and so it's easy for them to find fault with you. There's a lot of people looking at a lot of people with a lot of judgment from their own place of insecurity. So this brings us right to the heart of something. This is one of the most important things that will give you the greatest relief and the greatest clarity and then the greatest strength and then the greatest satisfaction. So just follow through with us on this just for a little bit. This inner being of yours that we've been talking about, this pure positive energy, larger part of you, who is always adoring you and always acknowledging your value, that's who you're wanting to tune to. You want to calibrate to your inner being who knows you, not to some disconnected person who's having a really hard time. It's an interesting thing. We hear people, often speakers, and they will stand on a stage, even in a crowd where there are many people who are on their side. But if there is a heckler or someone in disagreement, they say often, I don't know why I keep playing to the guy that I know doesn't like me. And we say, it's because there's this thing that humans do. It doesn't work well for you, but you keep doing it. We're hoping you get over it today. And that's where you want others to get you. Well, sometimes they're just not going to get you because they're on a different vibrational wavelength. You can't get sick enough to help sick people get well, or poor enough to help poor people be prosperous. You can't become confused enough to give somebody clarity. And yet that seems to be what so many want from you. They want your resonance with them where they are. And do you know, did you follow that just a little bit? Do you know what your inner being does and doesn't do? Your inner being never lowers its vibrational frequency so that you can find resonance. Your inner being always stays right where it is, in love and knowing, which gives you the opportunity to allow your vibration to rise to meet it. Your mother she moved around and she did you a disadvantage. She sided with you when you were complaining, and she sympathized with you when you were feeling sorry for yourself and those sorts of things. But your inner being does not. And so when you decide that you're going to reach for the way your inner being feels about the subject of your presentation, and that's not just going to be the dominant thing that you care about, it's really the only thing that you care about. You're going to be tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and you're going to be good at what you do, and you're going to deliver what you have to say, and you're going to love every minute of doing it because there's no resistance within you. You see what we're getting at? But in the minute that you turn your attention to what others think of you, oh, can you imagine? So just to be absurd, to really make a strong point, let's say that it's important to you that you be appreciated by others, because it's easy to feel good. When you see something that makes you feel good, you feel good. And when you see something that makes you feel bad, you feel bad. And a lot of people would say, well, all of this stuff that makes me feel bad needs to change so that I can feel good. It's really a conditional approach to life. It's ridiculous and it's impossible. It's like putting out an advertisement that reaches everyone on the internet that says, here's my picture, and here's what I need from you should we meet. So scan the crowds as you move through life, and if you see me, here's my list. Carry it with you. Or you could just tune to your inner being. In other words, the path of least resistance is just to be in love with who you are and be in love with everything the way your inner being is in love with everything. And then you lose your sensitivity to what others think, because there is a higher priority to you. And that's, you're tuning to the whole of who you are. You're tuning to the core of who you are. You're tuning to the ever expanding being that you are. Because others, some of them are going to resonate with you and some of them aren't. We want you to know there's never a crowd on the leading edge. But when you get tuned in, tapped in, turned on, there's a high probability that those who are around, who all want some of that, will begin to find that resonance, especially if you are experiencing the awesome power of non-resistant thought. That's the epitome. That's the perfect definition of attractive, isn't it? To be so tuned in that you're in your full power and clarity. And then those who are up to speed with you to some degree, they'll come right along with you. And those who aren't ready for you won't come. But what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about that? You're going to lower your vibration to resonate with them. You're going to give up your connection to your source energy so that you can worry about that, you see? Doesn't that help you not worry about what others are doing? We want to convince you that you really have to stop playing to the peanut gallery. No offense meant, but resonate with your inner being and then watch what happens. Helpful?
Yes.
Want to talk about it?
I just didn't know that it was about what other people were thinking about me. I mean, I've always known that I was aware of other people's energy.
What did you think it was about?
I just thought it was something that happened to me, or something that I just...
You have an emotional response.
Yes.
With no awareness of what thought it's about.
It just seems to come over me so fast. I didn't realize that it was something that I was...
So now that leads us to another really important thing to talk about here today. And that is, we've been talking recently, we'll talk a lot about this today, about getting out ahead of it. Earlier you heard us say that you have patterns of thought. That's what beliefs are. So sometimes you have a belief that is serving you. Sometimes you have a belief that isn't serving you. And those beliefs that aren't serving you, that's why things sneak up on you, because you didn't even realize you were feeling that way or thinking that way, but you were, and so you attracted something that matched that. So we've been talking about getting out ahead of it. In other words, segment intending. Deliberately identifying and isolating and calibrating an emotion right now. So let's say that it's the day before you're going to make a presentation and you're thinking about it today. And today you are acknowledging what a beautiful day it is. And you're acknowledging how good you feel in the world and how good you feel in your body and how happy you are in life and how nice it is to be an uplifter and a teacher and how eager you are about these things. And because this presentation is tomorrow, it's easier for you today to identify those things and sort of prime the pump and get the energy moving about them. You might even go so far as to acknowledge how happy you are to have this role that you get to play tomorrow, and how eager you are to see how it plays out, and how much fun that it could be, how much fun that it will be. And so just by having those thoughts here today, with little or lesser resistant competition about them, you have gotten out ahead of it. You follow that? So tomorrow, we promise you, will go better for you than it would have had you not done that. That's what we call getting out ahead of it. Meditation accomplishes that too, because when you quiet your mind, you stop thought. And when you stop thought, your vibration rises. So now, this idea of getting out ahead of it, we want to point out, Esther catches herself doing this almost every day about something, getting out ahead of it in the opposite way that she means to. Just now we would say that's co-creation at its best. Those thoughts that we were encouraging about what's going to take place tomorrow, but acknowledging how good you feel today, that's co-creating at its best, you and the universe and your inner being. But sometimes if you have a worrisome thought, like it just comes over me so fast, I don't know what happens, I just remember that I get prepared and I think I'm ready and then I'm not. Don't do that, because that's the opposite of what we're talking about. But it is getting you ready for something. It is preparing you for the next segment, but it's preparing you for a segment that you're not going to enjoy that much when you get there, you see. So when you start getting a handle on this and you start getting out ahead of it deliberately when it's easier, and then you start noticing how much better things go for you because you're out ahead. Esther has a notebook, a stack of notebooks now, and she decided to take this a little bit to an extreme, and so she is segment intending almost every segment of her life experience these days by sitting and writing for about 60 seconds about the next segment that she's moving into. Back in the very early days, Jerry asked, Abraham, are there any like laws of the universe or anything that if we could really get a handle on, it would help us to understand how all of this works? And we said, there's the law of attraction, and then we defined it. You're a vibrational being, and as you emanate a signal, you will attract like to you. The second law we called the law of deliberate creation. That's where you think on purpose. You can do it by default. That's what most people do. They look over there and they think about that, and they look over there and they think about that. But very few people are guiding their thoughts according to their guidance systems, because very few people are trying to harmonize with the larger part of them. They don't even know that larger part exists sometimes. And they certainly didn't realize that that larger part of them is thinking right here, right now about what they're thinking about. The law of deliberate creation. Paying attention to your emotions and thinking in the direction of what you want as your inner being does. The third is the law of allowing. That means I have isolated and identified and calibrated my frequency to the frequency of my source. So I have the clarity and the knowledge of all of that inside. And then the fourth, we said, was segment intending. You're moving into a new segment all the time. When the phone rings, new segment. When you're at the dinner table and all of you are there except that one who's always late, and then that one gets there, new segment. Constant new segments, new segments, new segments. And if you will stop and identify what you most want from this segment, you activate within yourself, you cause yourself to be one of the cooperative components that is already gathered. In other words, your inner being has already gathered cooperative components. Often you're the only holdout. But when you segment intend, often it causes you to be a cooperative component. So segment intending, Esther will write segment. Brush my teeth, put on my face, and comb my hair. That's her segment. Takes 30 minutes. Segment. And then she will write, I feel such appreciation for this lovely space in which I can prepare myself for the day. I love this music that is playing right here and now. I love these products. Took me a while to find them. I really, really like them. I like the way this smells. I like the way this smells. I like the way this smells. In other words, just looking for things to feel good about and setting her vibrational frequency for well-being, for attraction. And then the next segment, make my bed and move the stuff back where it belongs. 30 minutes. Just focusing with deliberate intent for the purpose of activating genuine, not fake, genuine appreciation for something that she's focused upon. It gets that momentum going. You spend a day identifying what you like about this and what you like about this and what you like about him and what you like about her and what you like about this, what you like about that. Pretty soon you've got a point of attraction going where the entire world seems like they got your memo. When you see me do this, it's like they got the memo. And those that are not a vibrational match to this pure positive energy stream that you've got going, they bounce off of you. It's like they're not even in the same world that you're in. While those that have components that match up with some of the things that you've got actively flowing through you come into your experience.